Hey, Greg.
Hey, good evening, Bill.
Gentlemen, I'm here. I just am trying to get a stream, a better stream, so I don't video what I don't have to.
You look okay to me.
Good evening, David.
How's it going? Welcome.
It's going, thank you.
Or should I say it seems like old times or something?
Hey, Betsy.
Hi. There we go.
Hey, good evening.
Hello, Greg.
How are you?
How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. Are you at the office?
Nope, I made it home tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Just walked through the door. So it's nice to be home so I can kind of end the night here and not have to end the night up there and then drive home.
Yeah, right.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I hear you. It's just kind of the territory, really.
Yeah. Yeah, the worst ones that go to like 11:30 and you still have an hour plus drive. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
my
those marathon meetings. I love them.
yeah,
That's
Yeah,
what Maine Public Radio is for.
yeah. I had a bunch of meetings up in Freiburg and driving home in the middle of the night.
Yeah, there's no good way to get back. I mean, they're all back twisty roads from Freiburg.
Oh, and it was and dark as could be. I was like, okay, I know where I'm going. Just thank God for GPS, which I lost many times, so I just use intuition for part of it.
My story about GPS is when they first came out kind of commercially 15 years ago or so. They had the devices were Garmin's. Remember Garmin's?
Oh yeah,
You know, then everybody on everybody's phone. And we got Garmin's for our kids. They're at college. And so so they'd be driving home from college and we'd call them on the phone and say, "Where are you?" "Well, I don't know. I'm on the purple line." That's the best they could do. They had no idea where they were.
hey, map reading is going, by the wayside. I'm afraid.
I'm a Boy Scout. I can read maps.
Oh, I love maps, and luckily my wife is a great map reader and a great direction person, and I prefer driving. So together, she'll like.
Oh yeah, navigator. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I do remember the days of maps. Made for an interesting trip.
Yeah. Should we ask Betsy? Do you remember paper maps? No.
Of course I do. We had that Maine Gazette.
That was a great thing, the Maine Gazette.
Yes.
I think I've got one, I know, but I haven't used it in a long time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Of course, like back then, it's like, I don't know. I just feel like you just always knew where you were going.
Yeah.
And now it's like you're constantly looking, but if you probably stop to think about it, you probably would know generally where to go.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
after I moved to America, I moved to Denver, and so the mountains were always on my west.
Yeah, that's
so
easy.
And then I moved to the Chicagoland area, and the suburbs were, all sort of blocked in a huge grid. But if you went into the city, you had the lake at the left of you. I mean, to the right of you, or excuse me, to the east of you, anyway. So then you always knew where you were, and I loved it.
Right.
Mhm. Where are you from?
London originally.
Oh, what happened to your accent?
I've got a sister who's 3 years older than me, and we both sound Americans, and the rest of the family all sounds British. They're all
Really?
older. Yeah, two of my sisters live back in England, and then mom's in Pittsburgh, and one's in Wisconsin. So, yeah. But yeah, we actually moved here. My dad got a 2-year contract at Denver University in their research department, did cancer research, and how many years later? That was 1971, and I was 6 or 7 years old.
You're still here.
Yeah, and I'm still here. I'm like, I have dual citizenship.
You really?
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
My roommate in college, were great friends, and he was Canadian, Montreal, and his mother was from Minnesota, and somehow he finagled dual citizenship, still has it. So,
Apparently,
My kids will have it.
Hmm?
All three of my kids. My husband's Canadian.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Where's he
So,
from?
he grew up in like northern Manitoba.
Oh, wow,
and
way
then-
out there. Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah. His family's in Saskatchewan now.
Oh,
my God.
yeah, you know, Saskatchewan, eh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was
Up
born.
near-
He actually was born in Yellowknife. In the
Isn't that up
northwest.
near,
Oh, wow.
that's up
incredible.
near Moose Jaw. No.
Yeah.
So he's from the prairie states north in Canada, and you're from northern Maine, right?
Yep.
All right. That's
Yeah.
awesome. There's a certain logic to that, I guess.
Yeah.
We both think the winters here are very mild.
Yeah, I do too. I grew up along the St. Lawrence River, and I'm
Oh,
one of the few people that said they came down here. And,
wow.
Oh, that's so funny.
well, it's 7:02. Let's give people another few minutes before we start. Oh, there's who we got in town hall? Is Manley there?
I'm here.
Can
Hey,
you
Manley,
hear?
how are you? Yeah. Okay, so actually, and Hershey said she might be late if not absent, so this might be it. And
Can you hear us?
I'm sorry.
Hear us?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, I logged us into the wrong meeting, Amy.
If I got the right microphone on, am I sounding okay?
Yeah.
You're good.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right, so we might as well get started. Who's that? Oh, Jeff Minahan's going to join us. Hi, Jeff. So this is the regular meeting of the South Berwick Planning Board on December 15th, 2021. And we have a brief agenda tonight, but we'll go through it. Things are happening. First of all, I'll take the roll. So I'm going to call your name and just raise your hand if you're here. That'll you're here remotely or otherwise. So Greg Zinzer,
Here.
Betsy Randall,
Here.
Manley Gove.
Yep.
Okay, and Bill Straub. So that's 4. And I believe is Ken here tonight? The fellow that was appointed last night?
Doesn't look it.
Okay, all right. So, and he's not officially here till January anyway. So, okay. So we have 4 members. We got a quorum, so that's good. All right. The first item is the approval of the minutes from December 1. I pulled them up. Has everybody got them? I can share the screen if I need to. I had a couple very small typos, actually. Anybody have any modifications to it?
I look fine.
Okay, then I think on line 43, I think that's for clarification, not for classification. Should that be clarification, Amy?
I believe so.
Yeah, and then on 52, Hershey was talking about a blight ordinance, which I think that's spelled backwards there, B-L-I-G-H-T.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm very surprised because I never catch typos, but there I did.
Thank you.
At the office, I have to have everybody read anything that's important that I write because I just can't do that. I've always joked that on my tombstone it's going to say, "Here lies Bill Strub." All right, okay, so take a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
So moved.
So moved by Greg, second by anybody?
Second.
Betsy, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, there's Manley. 4, okay, we're, okay, unanimous, thank you. Okay. Is there anyone in the, next thing is public audience, is there anyone in the audience tonight that wants to speak about something that's not addressed to the planning board, about something that's not on the agenda? Hearing none, that's easy. Okay. We have one piece of correspondence. It's from Jeff Minahan, who everybody knows is on the town council now, but he caught up with the paperwork. I think he wrote it a month ago, but I got a copy of it yesterday. He's formally resigned from the planning board because he has to. He's on the town council. So thank you, Jeff. I think you're here. I see your name. And that's out there. So on the, we don't have any project business tonight. On the discussion agenda, There's a review of ordinances update, and last time we had a council workshop just prior to our last meeting, and we had discussion about marijuana licensing procedures, and the council had we had worked out the council was going to deal with the primary licensing issues as an administrative piece, not involving the planning board, and then asking the planning board to put performance standards on home occupations that include the registered caregiver requirements. And since then, this morning, Mallory Cook, who's in the audience, hello Mallory, she emailed me and I forwarded to you. There's a charge for the planning board. They have formalized what they want us to provide performance standards for under the home occupation thing relative to the marijuana facilities. And I forwarded that to everybody midday today. So that will be a project, not so much for tonight. We can talk about it a little bit, but subsequent meetings. And also the council has a draft ordinance of the administrative provisions establishing licensing. We decided to bifurcate that. The primary licensing thing would be an administrative thing, and the planning board would do supporting performance standards for the home occupation use for that. And we just forwarded that tonight. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to look at that. I took a quick once through of it. In order for the town council to proceed with it, and I was going to spend some time to find it, but I didn't find it. Maybe Mallory knows. There's a requirement that we comment on it to allow the town council to proceed. Mallory, do you know, do you identify where in the code that requirement is?
No, I didn't have a chance to take a look since we spoke this morning, Bill, but I think for now, like, I just wanted to give you guys the heads up that I think that's probably something that we'll need.
Right.
I can get that detailed information of specifically where in the code it states.
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And
But I also, it is helpful, and I did note this in the charge, is it would be helpful for you all to review the ordinance strictly from a definitions, does everything really talk to each other standpoint. You know, we know that the council is taking care of the actual language and the process and all of that, but I think it's important to kind of get that input just to make sure everything jives.
Great. Okay. So that's something that you'll be looking for some action or input from the planning board in early January, right?
Yeah, I think my understanding, and we talked about this last night, and like I said, I'll get the specific location in the code where it states this, is that in order for us to proceed with the process to get this ordinance enacted, it does require an opinion from the planning board, which, given our previous discussion in the workshop about how this should be strictly a council thing, I know I mentioned this to you, Bill, I think it would be totally fine for that opinion to be, we have no opinion, or this is a function of the council, et cetera, but I think it's more of just like a process step that we need to take in order to move forward.
Okay. Anybody have any comments or questions about what we have to do on that one?
No,
Why don't we,
First Manley and then Greg.
I said, why don't we just do it so we can get that behind us? So they got what they need to move forward.
Well, it's not on the agenda tonight, and we haven't had the time to look at it. You could vote on it tonight, but are people ready to do that?
no.
Okay.
If I could, Bill, I think there's also like a component to this where, you know, the ordinance that we're more or less asking you all to draft that's on the agenda. I think there's some definitions and language and stuff that will be referenced in that probably will also need to be then referenced in the licensing ordinance.
So it may change again. So, okay. So it sounds like it's a fairly straightforward thing, but Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say it is very straightforward. I read the charge this morning when you sent it off, Bill. Seems pretty straightforward. From the perspective of the licensing, yeah, I think we can probably spend a little bit of time on it. I don't see an issue there. I think the bigger issue really, before we spend any time commenting on the license, is to really determine where we are on the land use portion, which may or may not input any necessary changes for congruence between the two ordinances, any necessary change so that one doesn't conflict with the other. That's I don't see an issue there. But I would suggest that we focus on the land use portion and then see how that licensing piece fits in. So again, so they talk. And then I don't really know in terms of the opinion of the planning board or whatever and how that's supposed to work in terms of what the bylaws state. Yeah. And
Everybody- Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Hang in there.
and so maybe as this goes on, when it comes to the opinion, we can, I don't know, have that joint public hearing again later on down the road and get that all.
I think, this is all good. I think it's all very good. And I'm not going to be involved so much as it goes forward here, but I think what's happening is exactly what we had contemplated last spring and summer. And so it's going to be a very good thing to get this taken care of. And I really applaud everybody moving in the same direction on this, get the details straight, but I think they're going to be nothing terribly controversial. So that's great. So, okay.
Bill, could I
Yeah.
make,
Please.
I was gonna make a suggestion that at the last council meeting that we discussed this at, they gave us some details. We talked about the home occupation, how that would work. I agree with Greg. I think it's a pretty simple thing, and I'd be happy to pull together sort of a rough draft for the board so you have something solid to look at. And I do think some definitions are in there because we've technically already defined it when we adopted the other ordinance regarding what constitutes a grower. So I'd basically move that language and make it, and then just show it where it would insert in that language and give us that for a kickoff perhaps.
Sounds good to me. Any other ideas or reactions to what David's suggesting? Yeah, Greg.
I would appreciate any work that David can pull together, because again, I don't think this is going to be rocket science as we kind of talked about at our last meeting. I think we may have to modify some of the performance standards under home occupation, to really recognize the registered caregiver and what they may or may not be doing out of the home. And I think there's some other issues that the council brought up about, how that may or may not affect other home occupations. So again, I think we'll have to spend some time on that. The definition is key. I know in that charge, when it comes to the definition, I think we are going to, again, as I said at the last meeting, I think the definition is going to be key in how the registered caregivers are defined with any size restrictions as identified by the council. So we're going to have to do the cross check on where all these definitions are, so that we're not, shooting ourselves in each of the foot.
Okay, good. Okay, great.
We need to comment on, is that all complete?
I'm sorry, Manley, what's that?
The ordinance that the council members want us to comment on, is that all complete now?
It's a draft, and I think Mallory explained that there may be some changes to it. So she wanted to make us aware that that would be part of this. And I don't think we can do much tonight because it came in last minute, and there's some changes that are going to come from council. And then we're talking about making sure that's coordinated with the performance standard stuff that we have to deal with otherwise. So it's coming along fine, but I don't think it's, other than just to say we're in concurrence with what has to happen and we'll take care of it. I don't know there's much we can do tonight.
I think if we can all just take some time, Dave, if you can just maybe send out to us the relevant portions of maybe like an index, so to speak. What would be helpful for me is just an index of what 140 dot whatever is the cultivation, and then what's the medical storefront, and then where are the relative 140 dot sections on the home occupation. So I can kind of have just like a bird's eye view. I don't think you need to spend a lot of time on it. Just even a chicken scratch work. So we know for me, if we where to go. So I can have just from an overview perspective then I'll go and look myself. And I can pull up the standards and just look at that and spend some time on it myself.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. This is moving along nicely. I'm really happy that this is getting solid as the year closes up. That's great. Any more on that? Okay, the second item we had was review the solar farm moratorium, which was adopted at the end of September. We're going to see whether there was anything to consider on that and what to do about that. And David, did you have time to look at that at all?
No, I thought with the moratorium, we haven't really discussed if there's anything else needed, but I can certainly pull something together pretty darn quickly.
I think what my understanding was, and we haven't really been charged by the council, but I think what they need to do is there was a moratorium subject to potentially better defining in our 140 section what's required. Because right now it's allowed under the public utility thing.
Right.
That use, whatever that use is, and that's very broad. And there was a question about whether there's some other considerations that ought to be brought to bear about where these things should go and how they should be cited and whether there's visual things and so forth. So, and I didn't follow it, but there was a reference to this has been dealt with in some other towns. And so the question is there some guidance? The council hasn't had the time to focus on this, I don't think, but I'm almost certain that they're going to ask us to propose some ordinance language regarding this.
Right, and I saw this as a fairly fairly simple. I've worked on a lot of solar applications, not here. I'm just working on one in Elliott, and I've done them all over. But there are certain things that trigger that I think should be pulled into special conditions, like we have other standards. Usually just because the acreage, you've got endangered species usually come up, you've got wetlands always, you've got so I can easily put together some of these things to make a standard for the board. I mean, so
I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
And the other thing I think more broadly is would we want to permit these under some other use, some other heading, or perhaps create a heading for it, so it's not just a public utility thing. And which can go basically anywhere. There's no restrictions to public utility citing in the code. You can put anything anywhere. And so the question is should there be some thought as to where these things can go beyond that? And is there some fundamental reasoning for that? So
and there is reasoning, and I can we don't need to go into depth tonight, but if you'd like, there is reasoning. They need to connect to the grid and things like that. So
Mallory, I think she has a comment. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, the council talked about last night. And I sent out just this morning a draft charge for you all on this topic that we should be voting on at our meeting on the 28th. Turn over to the planning board the next day.
Okay, good. So it is coming. Good. Okay. And so this is good to get out ahead of this a little bit. So that'll be something to take care of early in the year. So, okay, great. The next issue was
how do I take down my hand? I think Amy might have to do it.
Okay. Well, you can talk.
let me see.
If there's something you need to talk about, Dave, just start talking. Yeah. So anyway, the next thing is planning board organization. And of course, this we're in a transition period here. This is my last meeting, and that's the way it is. But it's nice that we have new members on the board. Greg is coming in and hitting the ground running, and Ken Conlon, I can't remember his last name, was appointed last night by the planning board, and he's not. I guess that's not official until January 1, so he's not officially on the board yet, but he will be on your first meeting in January. So you'll have a 5-member board. That's great. You don't have an alternate, but people are working on that. So that's all excellent.
Bill, I'm sorry to interrupt. We did receive another application for an alternate.
Oh, good.
Tammy Steinhauer.
Okay.
She was- I
It's
thought,
been withdrawn
Yeah.
today.
Oh, I didn't
Oh.
know that. Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
With-
okay. All right, well, that's, okay, that's, well, people are thinking about it anyway, that's good. And but you'll have a full 5-member board, which is good, and we've been operating with 4 and 5 for the last year or so, which is not ideal, but let's get another alternate or 2 on it, but you'll have a full board with 2 new members and new points of view and new blood, that's great. I look forward to meeting Ken at some point. So you'll have a organizational function early next year. You'll need to decide on who's doing what, chair, vice chair, secretary, and so forth. And I think you'll probably, it's your business, but you'll probably have to take that up very early in January and get the basis for moving forward.
So that position will only run till the middle of summer, is that correct?
I don't know. I mean, the new person?
No, the position for
Oh,
just filling the vacant spots is my understanding. Isn't there a specific date that it goes to?
yeah, there's supposed to be an organizational meeting every July where the chair is established and the vice chair and secretary. You can look
Like
at
a
that. So,
like an act
I'm sorry.
point.
Yeah, so would it be from January to July, or could you look at the bylaws and make it for longer? That you'll have to, that's your choice.
I think it's all set up. Why don't we just go to July and then July we can,
Yeah.
everything back,
Yeah,
keep
that-
changing everything.
Yeah, and that's, so you can certainly take that up at first thing. So you're gonna need to
Yeah.
hit the ground running, because the way it works, Amy has first of all, I want to, in my remarks tonight, I'm gonna say a few things, but I'll say this one right now. I've been on the board a long time, and we've never had the help that we've had with Amy. So thank you so much, Amy. You've just been super. You're 3 steps ahead all the time, and that's been fantastic. But
Bill.
Amy has always worked with Joe to put the agenda together, the draft agenda. She reviews that, has reviews that with me as chair. We have a back and forth, and I get comfortable. I very seldom make a change, but I wanted to know what's going on. And she issues that right away. So that's a minor issue, but that's going to have to be dealt with sooner than later. So you're going to need to get the leadership squared away first off, and do that. So that's just fine. I think, Amy, you had on here planning board member training workshops that are coming.
Hopefully, just that it's on there for the first of the year. As the year goes on, as January has, we have a couple of meetings. We'll know more then.
Okay, fine.
And Bill, just to talk about the planning board members, I was looking at the members and the 2 vacant positions right now. Their terms are 2022 and 2023. So whoever would come on first would serve out the remaining term of 2022. And if they wanted to re-up,
Right.
I believe they could. But yeah, everyone's on a staggered term. You were 2023.
Mallory, do you know, is Ken, is he filling out my term officially?
yeah, so when we appointed Greg took Jeff's spot, which
Right.
was just through June of this coming year, if I'm remembering correctly. And then Ken was appointed for January 1st, 2022 through June 2023, which would
Oh,
be the
okay. Okay,
Bill?
yeah, that's right. Okay, good.
And the website at least shows Greg till 2024.
Yeah, I think that might be an error. Greg was
Okay.
just so Greg will be up for reappointment in
Okay.
June.
Okay,
I'll
good.
make sure and talk to Barbara about that so that we have that straightened out.
Thank you.
Just an organizational question. If the planning board elects the chair, vice chair, and all that in July, we only need to be electing a new chair in January. So the vice chair is, who is the vice chair?
Betsy.
So Betsy can take off and lead the meeting then, and we can go from there. So all we have to do then, I'm just looking at the agenda, and so the only thing we have to do then is just the election of the chair.
No, the chair and the vice chair.
Who,
Well, not necessarily if, yeah, it depends on if the chair moves up to, if the vice chair moves up. We would just have to fill the vacancy.
Betsy is the secretary, is my understanding. Is that correct, Becky?
So when Larry left, I filled in for Bill.
I know
When,
you filled in, but we never had an official vote on anything.
correct.
We have a secretary, we have a chair, we do not have a vice chair. We
Well, that needs to be-
will
needs to be-
chair and a vice chair come January 1st. And if Betsy fills one of those positions, then we'll need a secretary.
Okay. Is it true that we never formalized the other positions in July?
I thought we did, but
Live somewhere.
That would-
I
that would
want to
be-
say, we did.
That would have to be in the
Did I
minutes.
miss it? Did I miss it?
I think I missed it too. I think what we decided was that Betsy was vice, and I'll look back on the minutes
Yeah, it's gotta
to
be in the
last
minutes.
year.
Yeah.
Betsy is the vice, you're chair. I think we appointed me as secretary, but not as a
Right.
member.
correct. That's what I remember too.
Well, it's gotta be in the minutes. So let's confirm that as part of the agenda for the next meeting and take it from
Oh,
there.
Got it.
So at the very least, we need a chair and a secretary.
Yes, although the secretary role has never really been a role. in
Exactly.
years. Yeah, it's always been an administrative role with staff. But you can decide, you can decide what you want to do on that. Okay. Okay, the next thing we had was, I think we solved this. That was resolving the planning board meeting start time. It sounds like 7 o'clock works for everybody, including Greg. We don't have to change the night. So we go, years ago, it was at 7. We went up to 6:30. You're back at 7. I think that's a done deal. Okay, good. All right. And if there's a discussion about the remote meeting policy, that needs to happen next time too, I suppose. I'm not sure if there's anything to add from last time. There was some discussion last time about people being comfortable or uncomfortable with going to town hall and with,
That's to be determined as we get into the new year.
yeah. With everything that's going on, my God, this is not a good time to be doing more than less, in my opinion, but that's up to you guys. So, okay. We talked about current planning board member applications. We're delighted to have Ken coming on, and we're looking for a couple more. And there's no new business, and on the agenda there was a recognition that I like to think I'm resigning, not resigning, I'm retiring, but you can call it resignation if you want.
I can take over at this point, Bill, if you want. So I know you're not here in person, but I'm here on behalf of the council to give you this really beautiful plaque and thank you
Oh my
for
gosh.
your 13 years of service. I'll read what it says. The townspeople of South Berwick express sincere gratitude to Bill Strobe for 13 years of service to our town planning board. Our democratic government could not function without the sincere interest, concern, and dedicated people such as you. So here it is.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so
Great.
much.
Yay.
Bill, for all of your time and service. Be very missed on the planning board, and I hope you enjoy your first and third Wednesday evenings. Go forward.
Well, thank you so much. It's unexpected and takes me by surprise, but thank you so much, Mallory, and everybody. And so that's great. We had no new business. There's a couple things in the wings. They'll come back when they come back, and you'll deal with them. Member comments. I've got a couple, but I'll wait till there's see if there's anybody else.
Thank you,
I'll
Bill.
start. Yeah. Yeah,
Bill.
so obviously I haven't been on for a long time, but I've been around government for a real long time. And so I'll say, thank you, Bill. I know the amount of commitment that it takes, and, governments really can't function without volunteers doing this kind of work. So, thank you for the work that you've put in, and it is noticed. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Greg. Yeah.
And Bill, I've worked with a lot of chairmans and a lot of boards, and you're absolutely top notch. Thank you. You've really had a great communication with me, and it's made my life a lot easier. And
And I've enjoyed it, David.
yeah, so thank you so much. I'm going to miss the heck out of you. So
Okay, good.
if you come to the meetings and complain about something I'm doing, though, stay at home.
Yeah, stay home. Right.
Oh, off Zoom, I should say.
All right. I've enjoyed our work together, David. That's been great. So, yeah. So, okay, good. Well, good. I didn't expect this, and I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate the council's and your all individual gestures of appreciation. It really means a lot to me. So thank you. I was just gonna say two things. Well, three things. One, I'm delighted that we have two new people on the board and people willing to step up. And whenever anybody, retires from a position, there's always a little anxiety about, you want to make sure it goes right, but you have to separate yourself. But I feel good knowing that I think you're all positioned to do really well and serve the town really well. And that makes it makes me more comfortable than I might be, stepping aside. So that's good. That's number one. Number two, you got to remember that you're operating out of this book. I can't get it. There it is. Here it is. It's the code. We used to. They handed me this the first week I was there. They don't hand them out anymore. They don't exist. But it's all online. Okay. But the point is, everything that you do, it's not a political position. It's an administrative kind of semi-judicial position. You're to listen, and it's all there. And there, if you have a question, there's almost always an approach and answer in the code. And that's what I always go back to. And I do a lot of planning board support in my professional life as a professional engineer. I support planning boards all over the place. And that's the first thing you do. You got a question, you got a circumstance, before you freak out about it, go to the code. There's always something there that frames what you can look at and what that doesn't mean it's all easy, doesn't mean it's cookbook, but you start with the code. And I want to make that point on my way out here. It's all, 121 subdivision or 140 zoning, or maybe the shoreland 120, I guess, or 110. And there's two or three others, but there's not much you can do that's not fully supported by the code. So I just make sure you're familiar with it and you know how to use it and you know how to get it offline. And again, almost every single question that's come up in the years that I've been on this, you start with a code and then you move forward. So that's number one. Number two. And then the other thing is, it's been a pleasure being on the board and being a professional engineer. And that's one of the reasons why I got on years ago, because it was a way I could contribute to the community using, something I know about. And so an awful lot of work that is done by other planning boards using outside engineers, I've been able to do with you guys internally. So I can read a set of plans, I can read a manual, I can read a drainage manual. You can do it too, but I know how it's put together from an engineering perspective. Don't be afraid. The ordinance fully supports your use of third-party engineers. And you're working with David. David's great from the planning perspective, but with his technical issues, I've been delighted to provide engineering as a member. And I know what to do pretty much. I get stuck on it once in a while, but most times I know exactly what I'm looking at with the plans and all that stuff. So don't be afraid to call on the process to engage. We haven't done it much at all in my 13 years. We did some with some lighting engineers, some sound engineers years ago for the church, but don't be afraid to use it and get that going. And third-party advice, independent, it's well established. It's in the code. The town's allowed to get someone going on it, charge that to the applicant. It's a legitimate charge that goes to the applicant, just like the planning time. And so don't be afraid to use it. And the town will be best served in the long run if you do. And the same thing in construction. The town's been very lucky over the years to have the former public works director was a professional engineer, John St. Pierre, and he did a lot of the construction reviews on the town's nickel, but that was fine. But don't be afraid to use it. That's my point. And because you'll be better supported as citizens on the board with the expert advice of people, and it's not that expensive, and when it's focused, it's very helpful to you. So just use that. So that's my speech. Use the code and use all the resources you got. So
Thank you,
I guess-
Bill.
yeah, okay.
Yes,
Good.
thank you, Bill. There's big shoes to fill for our new chair.
Yeah. I think you're gonna do just fine. So anyway, okay, well, thank you so much for the thoughts and the success that we've had together. It's been great. And Manley, I'll ask you one last time. You want to do it?
I make a motion, we adjourn, but I think that Jeff Monahan needs a certificate of appreciation also. And I don't know if anything we can do to make that happen, but I think every member that ever serves on this board, they do it at no charge. And that goes not only for the planning board, I feel it ought to be a policy for the appeals board, every board there is. I think it's a minimum requirement.
Okay,
Duly noted.
duly noted. Okay, do we have let's have a second to Manley's motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second from Betsy. All in favor? Thank you very much. See you later.
Good
Take
luck,
care.
Bill.
Have a Merry Christmas,
Bye.
Bill.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
I'm gonna let Bill's plaque in here, and Bill, you can pick it up whenever you get it.
Yes, I'll do that. Thank you, Mallory.
Thanks. And Amy, I'll just leave it in council chambers.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your help, Mallory.
Yeah, thank you, Mallory.
Yeah, thanks,
I'll pick it
Bill.
up.
Alrighty, take care.
Thank you.
Take care, Bill.
Goodbye. Merry Christmas.
It doesn't end it for everybody.
Nice plan.
Yeah, it's very nice.